All right. Here we go, man. DJ Academics is about to give his opinion, his thoughts, his breakdown on the lawsuit of his rich baby daddy, BBL Drizzy, taking the biggest L of his life. No, not losing the battle, losing the lawsuit versus the battle. Let's see how DJ Academics is. He gonna keep it? Is he gonna keep it real? Is he gonna call it down the middle, or he gonna have his pom poms and his cheerleader outfit on? Let's see. Let's see.
All right. Welcome, y'all.
Let's see. Talk to me, Act. How you feeling, bro?
Hello. All right, cool. All right, chat. Tonight we got one mission, really one mission only. We just want to really break down this whole Drake denial or actually dismissal by the judge. We're not going to get through too many topics, but we're going to try to spend some extensive time on that particular thing. I do want to welcome you guys to our second consecutive stream. We are on our 30-day journey. We only got 28 days left to go. This is day 2, okay? All right. So if you guys haven't seen the news, Drake lawsuit versus UMG was surreptitiously dismissed today.
Yes,
And
Lord.
I think it was really dismissed to the dismay of many people within Drake's camp and also to the lawyers. Now, how did this happen? What happened? Why did this happen? What does it mean? I can tell you a few things off rip. Let me tell you this, man. This was like hitting a buzzer beater. Everybody from the industry hit me today. And I'm going to be honest with you. I never knew how much the Drake lawsuit was impacting overall music business. I'm not only really talking about only UMG, but people who work at Sony, Warner. I could tell that this lawsuit that Drake filed was, kind of ruffling some feathers. Regardless, it was basically like a buzzer beater. Niggas start hitting me from that I ain't talked to in years. They said we back on road. It's lit again. It's lit again. That's what they told me. I'm not going to cap with you. Now we're going to break down what does that mean? Why did Drake get his lawsuit tossed? And what are his next steps? And what will his relationship be with these entities and labels as he chooses to continue his music career? Now, welcome and welcome to y'all. All right. Now, I do want to tell y'all first and foremost, and I'm going to be a straight shooter today. I know I'm late as per usual, so I don't got time to be just, doing a lot of word salad. I saw a lot of people at me and say, yo, you're crying. This is why I know, some people are haters and the K-bots, they're as dumb as could be. I've never liked this lawsuit from the get-go. I always told y'all, some of the Drake fans even said it's
That is true. That is true. Now, I will be honest. I will call it down the middle. I made several videos about academics saying that this lawsuit is stupid, that is dumb, that he's going to lose. So he is right about that.
because, I'm protecting UMG. I always thought the lawsuit wasn't cool. And what I mean by
That's
wasn't cool
true.
is that it was attacking basic fundamentals that is the core values of all rap beefs. And I thought I couldn't support the lawsuit, even if I do think that these are heinous and false allegations made by Kendrick Lamar, who clearly, put, I would think, a stigma on Drake. These claims could not be, I couldn't support any judge granting defamation when I love murder music, indictment music. I love when niggas dissing they dead ops. I love when,
He has
again,
said
I
that.
know Drake fans want to act like Drake is the first person to be offended, but trust me, disrespect has a long history in hip hop. So when I didn't like the lawsuit, I always told y'all why. I support a lawsuit in two ways, but not necessarily cause blaming defamation on the label. The label should let the artist publish what they want. Okay? However, I do think that if Drake had a reasonable argument about his contractual situation with UMG, he should file it. What does that mean? And I know Drake fans, I'm not trying to talk to Drake fans here, but, I'm trying to address what I've seen. They're like, well, his reasonable argument is that they devalued him with the diss song, this and third. Again, I was waiting on the smoking gun for where Drake could tangibly show, hey, I went to these people and asked them for $600 million. They said the price was too high. Next thing I turn around, these motherfuckers are promoting a song like it's going out of style, dissing me with a bunch of lies in it, and then they came back and offered me $200 million. That's a haircut of $400 million. That was definitely some incorrect business practices, and I would probably be down with that. Again, I love disrespectful music. I love disrespectful music. I love it. This is what I love it. There's nothing more I love more than that. I love when niggas diss your dead granny, your dead mama, your dead man's. That's my type of songs. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what yo, blast his ass. Like, I love songs like that. These are my type of songs. Now, with me not liking this lawsuit is me understanding that no matter how much I like Drake as an artist, I can't rewrite the rules if I like other things in hip hop. Okay? Now,
That's fair.
Do I think that someone being called a PDF is down the road of defamation? I actually do. I don't believe you go at the publisher. I don't believe you go at the label. I believe you go at the person. So I've always stated that that if Drake was going to file the lawsuit, he should file it at Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar
All
engaged
right,
in
man.
what most people could say is defamation, and I don't think UMG is liable for it. But we're going to get some new context of how the courts actually view this whole thing, and it's actually really enlightening. But I wonder how that's going to relate to how even the Meg Thee Stallion versus Milagro Cooper case is going to pan out. And by the way, another thing that is mentioned here by UMG lawyers that was affirmed by the judge in her motion to dismiss this case was actually a case that had to do with, ironically, Star from Star and Buckwild. His name is, or government name is Troy Terrain. We're going to read into all of these things, but let's get to it and let's break it down piece by piece.
Right, here we go.
The order came down today. I think most people were shocked. I was shocked that it was granted, given the fact that Drake and his attorneys cited multiple times that they spent a lot of money, not only trying to serve people, they spent a lot of money trying to gather evidence and trying to prove their point. And I'm surprised that a judge wouldn't allow them, based on the resources and the measures they went to try to prove his point, at least allow him to get to trial. The judge says, this ain't no case. Okay. So here it is. The opinion in the order is Aubrey Graham versus Universal Recordings. This is out of the Southern District out of New York. And the judge's name is Jeanette Vargas, who's a district court judge. And she it says the case arises from perhaps the most infamous rap battle in the genre's history. A vitriolic war of words that erupted between superstar recording artists Aubrey Drake Graham and Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, or Kendrick Lamar, in the spring of 2024. Over this course of 16 days, the two artists released 8 so-called diss tracks with increasingly heated rhetoric, loaded accusations, and violent imagery. The penultimate song of this feud, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, dealt the metaphorically kill shot. The song contains lyrics explicitly accusing Drake of being a pedophile, set to a catchy beat and a propulsive bass line. Not Like Us went on to become a cultural sensation, achieving immense commercial success and critical acclaim. Now, this part is written up by the prosecutor. I think she just signed the order. Both Drake and Kendrick have recording contracts with the defendant, UMG. Drake alleges that UMG intentionally published and promoted the song Not Like Us while knowing that the song insinuations that he has sexual relations with minors were both false and defamatory. Drake has brought this action against UMG for defamation, harassment in the second degree, and violation of the Section 349 of the New York General Business Law. And before this court is the defendant's motion to dismiss due to Rule 12b-6 of the civil procedure. Let's go read that rule. We're going to go through this really meticulously, so I want you guys to be knowing that, okay? So Rule 12. So Rule 12b-6. Here it is. Wait, hold on. Rule 12a. That's going to be b-6. Failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Wow. Okay, so that was the motion for the dismissal. Because the court concludes that allegedly the defamatory statements in Not Like Us are non-actionable opinions, the motion to dismiss is granted. So actually, this is the order, actually. Here's a legal standard. To survive a motion to dismiss, a complaint must contain sufficient factual matter, accepted as true, to state a claim to relief that is plausible on its face. A plaintiff may not simply allege facts that are consistent with liability. The complaint must nudge plaintiff's claims across the line from conceivable to plausible. Okay, when ruling on a motion to dismiss, the court accepts as true all well-pleaded allegations and draws all reasonable inferences in favorable of the non-moving party. The court does not credit legal conclusions couched as factual allegations. However, the court may also reconsider documents incorporated in the complaint, and the reference and matters of the judicial notice may be taken. Judicial notice is appropriate when a matter is not subject to reasonable dispute because it is generally known within the trial court's territorial jurisdiction or can be accurately, readily determined from the sources whose accuracy cannot be reasonably questioned. Okay. A lot of word salad, and I know you guys are saying, what the fuck does that mean? Okay. They're using some legal standards why they think this motion should be granted, which eventually did. So here's the background. It says the following background is largely taken from the allegations in the amended complaint, which are assumed true for the purposes of the motion. Additionally, the defendant requests that the court take judicial notice of certain extrinsic evidence pursuant to Rule 201 of the Federal Rule of Evidence. These exhibits include lyrics of the song released as part of Drake and Kendrick Lamar's rap battle. Now, I want to pause it there because I don't want to keep reading. And again, we're going to get into the weeds. We're going to get into the weeds with some of these stuff. Essentially, and I think this is a huge ruling. And by the way, most of the case law that was used in here are hip-hop case laws. But I do want to say to y'all, the judge in his overall ruling is saying that if two people in the context and the tradition of what hip hop is are going back and forth with disrespect or disrespectful songs, aka diss songs, there is much more latitude to what can be said about one party if both parties are engaged. So essentially, by the mere fact that Drake chose to engage in a rap battle, he almost understood that there was going to be mudslinging and mudslinging that he would also be doing as well. Based on that, it's also understood within the culture of a rap battle that a diss or a disrespect is not necessarily seen as fact. It's seen as a opinion by usually the person saying it. That's going to be a big thing because, again, the Supreme Court nor any federal district court will not cast an opinion or give their ruling on any type of thing that is going to impede the First Amendment right, which they're saying that if someone has an opinion on something, that is protected, which means if Kendrick thinks that Drake is a certified whatever, in the context of not only rap, where that would be seen as an opinion, but also in the context of once you engage in a rap battle, you know what it means. That's what they're saying there is no defamation for, okay? Let me keep reading. The following background is largely taken from the allegations in the amended complaint. Additionally, the defendant, which is Drake, no, not Drake, I mean UMG, requests the courts take judicial notice of certain extrinsic evidence pursuant to Rule 201. These exhibits include the lyrics of the songs released as part of the feud. The dates on which these songs were released and the lyrics of these songs are not reasonably subject to dispute, okay? And the songs themselves are, with one exception, all referenced in the amended complaint. Accordingly, the court will take judicial notice of the exhibits H through I and K through O to the request of a judicial notice to understand the defendant's alleged statements and their necessary power and context. Judicial, okay. All right. Exhibit B and are directly lines referenced and relied upon the plaintiff's amended complaint. Let's go down and see what that is. Where's the exhibits? Did we skip them? Okay. We probably skipped them. All right. We're going to just keep going through it one at a time, right? Okay. So let's get to the factual allegations. When you're reading a civil complaint, you want to get to the factual allegations because that's going to be what is going to be supposedly proved, right, by the plaintiff, right? The plaintiff is saying that Drake is a recording artist, prominent one at that, among other public-facing endeavors. He's had a successful music career. That's a fact. The defendant, through UMG Publishing Group, holds exclusive publishing and distribution rights to Drake's music as well as that of the artist Kendrick Lamar. Now, this is actually really telling. It says that Drake's publishing is actually within the house of, or is within UMPG, which we don't know if Drake owns his publishing. We just know it's being administered by UMG, which I know some of y'all might be like, what the fuck does that mean? Drake's catalog and also Drake's publishing is with UMG. Why do y'all keep thinking he's going to leave UMG? He's not. It's on April 19th, Drake released a diss song directed at Kendrick Lamar. It was called Push-Ups. In Push-Ups, Drake mocks Lamar's height and shoe size. You big stepping with a size 7 mans on. Pipsqueak, pipe down. And he questions Kendrick Lamar's success. You ain't in no big three. I'm the top of the mountain, so you tight now. You just have to have this talk with your ass, I had to hike down. A few days later, Drake released Tailor-Made Freestyle, in which he used an artificial intelligence-generated voice of deceased rapper Tupac and Snoop Dogg to goad Kendrick Lamar. In the track, Tupac and Snoop share their disappointment that Kendrick has not responded to push-ups. See example, it says, Kendrick, we need you, West Coast savior. You seem a little nervous about the publicity. You got to show this fucking Al who the boss on the West. Okay, whatever. So Drake in his own voice further taunts Kendrick for failing to come up with a satisfactory response, saying, I know you're in that New York apartment. You're struggling right now. I know it. In a notepad, doing lyrical gymnastics, my boy. He also surmises that Kendrick was purposely delaying the response because the artist Taylor Swift had just released an album. He says Swift the biggest gangster in the music game right now. She got the whole PG Lang on mute, like that Beyonce challenge. Y'all boys quiet for the weekend. Lamar then fired off at Drake on a song called Euphoria, which was released on April 30th. And in the track, Lamar claims, I make music that electrify him, you make music that pacify him, and that he would spare Drake this time. That's a random act of kindness.
Act of kindness.
Know you're a master manipulator and a habitual liar too, but don't tell no lie on me and I won't tell no truths on you. On May 3rd, the feud between Drake and Kendrick escalated as they lobbed increasingly vicious and personal accusations that over the course of the day. First, Kendrick released 616 in LA, okay? He accuses Drake of playing dirty with propaganda, and he raps that if Drake was street smart, he would have caught on that his entourage was only there to hustle him. Drake's next response arrived later in the day in a song called Family Matters, where he jabs at Kendrick's relationship with his partner. Okay? He says, you the black messiah wifing up a mixed queen. and hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem. On some Bobby shit, you know, I want to know what Whitney need. It implies that Kendrick physically abused her. You a dog and you know it. You just play sweet. Your baby mama captions always screaming, "Save me." You did all that. You did her dirty all her life trying to make some peace. Moreover, Drake calls into question whether Kendrick Lamar is the biological father of one of the kids. I heard them little kids might be day free. Now it says, almost immediately after the release of Family Matters, Kendrick unleashed a scathing Meet the Grams track, in which he accuses Drake of being a deadbeat father and hiding his existence from his other children. You lied about your son. You lied about your daughter. You lied about them other kids that's out there that's hoping that you come. Pause, buddy. Lamar also alleges that Drake has a gambling problem, drinking problem, a pill popping and a spending problem, bad bitch with money, whorehouse soliciting women problem, therapy, a lovely start. He further insinuates that Drake was a predator and Drake should die so all these women can live with a purpose. The next day, on May 4th, Kendrick released a song, Not Like Us, and it's explicitly named that because it says, according to, it basically says, Not Like Us says, Drake and his associates are PDFs. Jeez. Okay. Specifically, the track contains these lyrics. Say, Drake, heard you like him young. You better not ever go back to Cell Block 1. 20 bitch that talk to him and they in love. Just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubbs, he's the only one that get the hand-me-downs. Party, he's at the party, but he playing with his nose now. Baca got a little bit of weird case. Why is he around? Certified Lover Boy, certified PDFs. Wop, 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 wop. Dot. Fuck him up. Wop, 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 wop.
I'm gonna do
my stuff. While you trolling like a bitch, ain't you tired? You were probably trying to strike a chord, but it's probably a minor. Okay? On the 5th, Drake responded with the song called The Heart, Part 6, directly denying the allegations of pedophilia. I've never been with no one underage, but now I understand why this is the angle that you really mess with just for charity. I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I would have been arrested. I'm too famous for the shit that you suggested. Drake is not a name that you're going to see on the sex offender list. Okay. Not Like Us was a huge commercial success. It's gained immense popularity on streaming and social media platforms, and it's been streamed globally more than 1.4 billion times on Spotify alone as of April 2025. On November 8th, the Recording Academy nominated Not Like Us for several Grammys. And in February 2025, it won Record of the Year. A week later, on February 9th, Kendrick performed Not Like Us during the Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show. The performance is alleged to be the most watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time with 133.5 million viewers. Okay. Now, I feel like I'm getting slow into this, right? Okay. Let's read the judge's opinion. Oh, before we get to that, this is important. It says a fact versus an opinion. It says under the First Amendment, there's no such thing as a false idea. Only assertions of facts are capable of proving false. Moreover, the New York Constitution provides the absolute protection of opinions, okay? Thus, court must distinguish between statement of fact, which may be defamatory, and expressions of opinion, which are not defamatory. So I hope you guys understand what's being said. If someone espouses their opinion, that wouldn't be a defamatory statement, okay? And have the full protection under the New York Constitution. Whether a challenge statement is a fact or an opinion is a legal question. The plaintiff argues that it's inappropriate for the court to determine at the pleading stage whether a reasonable listener would perceive the recording as fact or an opinion. Yet, because this is a question of law, New York courts routinely resolve this question at the motion to dismiss stage. Okay. So essentially, they claim they're answering the question of, does this song meet the burden of it's being presented as a fact, not as an opinion? Okay. Okay. All right, so they address it at this stage. Whether a statement is a fact or an opinion is a question for the courts of law is decided based on what the average person is hearing or reading, and the communication would take to mean, and is appropriately raised at the motion to dismiss stage. Okay, great. Holding to that, because whether a statement is defamatory presents a legal issue to be resolved by the courts, the defamation actions are particularly suitable for resolution on a motion to dismiss. Particularly, there's a particular vague in resolve or value in resolving defamation claims at pleading stage, so as to not protract litigation through a discovery and trial, and therefore or thereby chills the exercise constitutionally and protects the freedom. Cool. All right. In distinguishing a fact and opinion, 3 factors guides the court. 1, whether the specific language in issue has a precise meaning which is readily understood. Whether the statements are capable of being proven true or false. And whether the full context of the communication in which the statement appears on the broader social context and the surrounding circumstances are such as to signal readers or listeners that what is being read or heard is likely an opinion. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So it looked like this is the court kind of like, looking at this motion to dismiss and saying, let's figure out if most of this stuff was presented as a fact or just as
an opinion.
So the court is conducting this inquiry through the lens of a reasonable listener. In Levin versus Maffei, the plaintiff's suit is focused on a single factual message conveyed by the recording, the false allegation that Drake is a PDF. The recording is myopically focused on ensuring that, I can't read today. I can see it? On ensuring that listeners didn't take away one message from the song. Is Drake a PDF? The statement has a readily understandable meaning and is capable of being proven true or false. But even accusations of criminal behavior are not actionable if it's understood in context. They are opinion rather than fact.
Okay.
Surrounding circumstances. Next, the court considers the full context of the communication in which the statement appears. All right, this ain't saying much. Let me get to the meat and potatoes of this bullshit. Give me 1 second. By the way, this order did come down today, so give me 1 second. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let me again, I want to speed through this a bit because this becomes voluminous, and I don't want to just like say a bunch of word salad without you guys understanding exactly why this is actually being dismissed. For the people who are Drake fans, listen, don't worry. Here's some Kleenex. You'll be fine. We're all grown. What we're gonna try to understand is what the judge is thinking, right? Because
all right, we're gonna leave it right there. This is part one. We're gonna do part two, but basically he's just reading that the whole court case was just based on, okay, what can we prove that is a fact and what can we prove that it's an opinion? And that's what it seems like this whole case was. This is how it was treated. And obviously the judge thought this is not a factual song. This is an opinionated song. So that's why it got dismissed. But we're going to get into details in the next video. So pay attention to part two.